Hi, my name is Kellyanne with Church Windows. I'm your presenter for today's webinar on advancing groups and classes. If it's your first time attending, you have a toolbar, and on the side of that is a little orange arrow. You can click on that to minimize it down so it's not blocking what I'm showing you. To open that back up, just click that little orange arrow. You might need your toolbar to ask questions because I won't be unmuting people. You can type your question in that panel, and while I'm showing you the material, Rachel Klein is also in the room, and she will type answers for anybody who has a question while I'm showing material. You might want to hold off, though, because at the end I will open the floor for everyone to ask questions, and I'll read those out loud and then answer those for everyone. Try to keep your questions topical. Again, today we're looking at advancing groups and classes and advancing the school grade. Pretty nice functions that do a bunch of work with just a few clicks. Before I dive in, let me show you real quick. I am going to be following along using materials from one of our training workbooks. You don't need the book to understand what I'm showing you, but if you own the books or if you're interested in purchasing them, this is taken from, I'm going to click here under beginning and then training workbooks. This is taken from our membership 201 book. And it's pages 21 through 25 on advancing groups, classes, and school grades. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and I'll open up. I have Church Windows already open and membership, so I'll just click on membership. Again, advancing groups and classes is a great function. Usually after the end of a school year, the kids are going to advance to the next grade. So you can do that with your school grades on your records and the people records, just the one field that contains their school grade. Or if you've set up groups and classes in the program and you want to advance those, you can advance all or some or none, whatever works. The first thing you want to check, though, is when you set those up, there's a way you can tell it to show those on the advanced screen, so you don't have to show all of them if you don't advance all of your groups and classes. So before we advance, let's go look at, along the top, we're going to click on Groups and Skills, and then assign group skills. I'm sorry. I was looking at the writing and clicking on the wrong thing. It's going very slow all of a sudden. I tested this. Here we go. Wrong thing. Ignore that. We're going to go to group skills and set up group skills, because that is where, if we go ahead and choose one of our groups and classes that we know we want to advance, over here on the left, I'm going to choose first and second grade because I know those students. Some of them will go to third and fourth grades. Over here to the right, let me circle it for you. Get my, whoops, the toolbar moved over the other side. I wasn't finding what I needed. Here we go. Let me get my pen and show you right here. We want to make sure if the group or class, you want to see it on your advanced screen so you can advance kids to the next group or class level. You want to make sure on the setup screen, show on advanced screen is checked. So if you go into advanced and you don't see some of the groups or classes you want to advance, come over into setup, find that group or class, and make sure show on advanced screen is checked. All right, because we have a lot of groups and classes we don't need to advance, our committees and some of our fellowship groups, so we don't want to see those muddying up the screen. All right, so let's go ahead and close this. Now that we know for sure our group and class is going to be on the advanced screen, let's go ahead and advance some. The first thing we recommend is making a backup of your data. I'm not going to walk through backups. We have lots of help topics on our website. Every tech tip I write has backup at the very end because it's a very important thing. So if you need help making a backup, you can give us a call or look on our website. Let's go ahead and we're going to go up to Special Functions, and we have Advanced Grade or Advanced Groups. We're going to look at Advanced Groups first. So I'll choose Advanced Groups, and that brings up my Advanced screen. Notice I have a small list here. I didn't show you everything in my setup screen, but in setup I have probably twice as many groups and classes as I see on this screen. And that's because I don't want to advance all of them, so I'm not showing them all on the screen. All right, if you look on the far left, we have a little checkbox where we can check what we want to advance. The next column is the actual group or class that you're going to be advancing. And what we need to fill in before we can do an advancing is this third column, the 2 groups and classes. So I want to click here, and I can either start typing. See, if I start typing, it narrows down to what I'm typing, and I can select. I want to select the group or class that they're moving from to, that they're advancing to. So I'm going to fill in this column with any of these that I'm advancing. You can either type, or I can click that down arrow and just choose from the list what they're moving to. 7th, 8th grade, they're going to, whoops, I missed it. Let me try typing it. If you put something there by mistake, you can click the X to clear it out. I want my, whoops. Oh, it's because it's SR. I'm looking for senior. My fingers aren't working right. Here we go. They're going to go to senior high fellowship. All right, and so we could continue on down the line. Today, I'm just going to do my number grades. I'm not ready to advance anybody else yet. Maybe my choirs, they don't finish up till the end of the summer and decide who's in advancing. So I'm just going to do these first 4. I'm going to go ahead. I can use this checkbox in the upper left corner to check all of them, or I can uncheck by clicking that again. But I'm just going to check these first 4. Now, if you want to keep a history of students having been in a class in the past, you can do that. If you do that, we do really recommend you put start and end dates so you know when they were actually in that group or class. Or you could choose to remove the history. If you don't want a history of a student having been in a class in the past, check remove history, and that will advance them to whatever group or class you chose in the third column, but it will remove any history of them being in the class in that from column. All right. So let's go ahead. I am on page, about ready to go to page 23. Now, 2 more columns I forgot to mention. The last 2 columns, advanced by and advanced date. Once I do advance this, it will show if you have logins with people's names. Here we just have a universal login, but it would show who advanced it and when they last advanced it. So if Sue does it this week and then Joy decides to go in next week and try, she would see, oh wait, it's already been advanced by Sue, so I don't want to do this. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We chose the 4 we want to advance. We're going to remove history. So first I'm going to click Save. I always forget. I should click Save first and now go select the ones I want. And then down along the bottom, I'm going to click on Advanced Selected. The first screen comes up and it shows me a blank screen. I don't have any kids in my 1st and 2nd grade in my data. Chances are you probably do, but if you come up with a screen where there's no one in that group or class, then just click Cancel. It won't cancel the whole procedure. It will just move on to the next group or class. And I've always had the question on the phone, shouldn't I start with the highest grade and move down so it doesn't keep moving kids? The system is smart. If you take note of some of the names here in my 3rd and 4th grade that I'm moving to 5th and 6th, let's just look at Jake Knox. I'm going to move him. I'm going to only move a couple kids here because maybe some of these kids are staying in the 3rd and 4th because they're just now in 4th. So you can check exactly who you want to move. So if you're not moving everyone to the next level, you don't have to select everyone. But the program is smart, and it's going to move Jake to 5th and 6th. But then when I go to move 5th and 6th, it's not going to move Jake to the next grade again. It sees who is current based on this date up at the top, which you could adjust if needed. If you want to advance people's roles, you can do that as well. If you want to advance the comments and the teachers, we can do that also. We're just going to advance as we see here. So let me go ahead and click OK. Now, if you are doing history, before I keep going, if you want to keep track of history and you're not removing history, then right down here in the lower left is where you want to put a start and end date for your groups and classes. That way, when you look at things from the past, you can see, oh, these kids were in this group or class back in 2017, not currently. If you're removing the history, though, you probably don't need a start and end date, but you could put those if you like. So I'll click OK. Tells me this action is going to advance the selected people from 3rd and 4th grade into 5th and 6th. History will be saved because I did not tell it to remove history. People will be copied into 5th and 6th. We highly recommend using start and end dates. So if I decided, because I thought I was removing history, I'm not. Since I'm not removing history, I'm going to click cancel. And I'm going to put the start date, maybe it starts, we'll say the 31st. And the end date, we'll put it a year later, July 31st. So there's the start and end date, a year's range. Now I'll click OK. Get a shorter message because I did put my start and end dates. And if I click OK here, now remember that name Jake Knox, because now it's moved us to our 5th and 6th grade. And notice the system's smart. It's not going to see that we just moved Jake into 5th and 6th grade and try to move him to 7th, 8th. It knows he's already been moved and he does not need to advance again. So it's looking at the current members of 7th and 8th grade. We're going to move everybody. And I'm not going to put start and end dates this time because I showed you how to do that. We'll just click OK. Here it is telling me we highly recommend because you're not removing history. We're just going to click OK. And it moves on to our last group or class, the 7th or 8th grade. So I'll say OK to this. And now we've successfully moved all of these students from one class to the other. Instead of having to go to every single record and move them, we just did it with a few clicks. And again, we could pick and choose who we want to move, keep history and start and end dates, or remove that history. But we see in those last columns now, Universal Login advanced it on 7/9/2019. If you remember, our 1st and 2nd grade was empty. There was no one in that group or class. So that's why that shows blank, because there was no one to advance, so it did not advance anyone. All right, so that's pretty easy. And again, a quick way to move a bunch of students from one grade or group or class to another. Now, it does recommend in the book, after you do this, make a new backup to save your new placements. You might want to make it separate from your old backup in case you take a look a couple days later and realize, oh, I did something wrong. Then you could restore the first backup you made prior to advancing and be back to where you were. So pretty nice, pretty easy. Let's look on page 24 at the other topic I'd like to discuss, advancing the school grade. Now, real quick, let me show you in the people database, people files, the records. School grade is a field on the records that is simply used to indicate a student's school grade. And where you have it on your records may be different from where you see it on mine, because you can choose the order of your fields. But here we see school grade. It's a simple field. Let me erase that and get my clicking tool back, where if we just click the down arrow here, let me scroll over a little. Whoops, not quite so far. Put it in the middle. If we click the down arrow, we have a list of different school grades. So we choose whatever school grade that person is in. Nina's an adult. Let's find a kid. Oops. Here we go. Here we go. So we have Eric Bernard. Eric's currently in 9th grade. So remember that, Eric, 9th grade. We can take a look at his record after we're done. We can even look here, Stuart. He's in 11th grade. So let's go ahead and look at the actual function of advancing. To do that, we go up to Special Functions and Advanced Grade, not groups, but Advanced Grade, just that one field on the record. Now, the first thing we want to do on this screen, and we already have the fields in order, is make sure they're in order from the lowest grade to the highest. We want to see what they're advancing to as the next thing in line. So here we see K, 1, 2, on down the line. Now, if I open the screen and maybe kindergarten was way down in the middle, notice there are arrows here to the right, so I could highlight something and use the arrows to get my school grades in the order I need for advancing. Once they're in the right order, if there's something here you don't want to advance, there's no feature like, in setup groups classes where I could say on the record, don't advance this grade or don't show it here. If there's a grade you don't want to advance, you can just put a check there and it will not advance that grade. But we want to advance all of these. Anyone with a G on their record, high school graduate, would just stay with a G unless we created a new grade. Now, if you get in here and you realize there's a grade missing that you wanted to add, maybe I want to put a college, you can click on Add New Grade, and notice below it puts a new line where I can go ahead and add whatever that new grade is. Now, if you see something here you don't need, you can check that Do Not Advance, or if you just want to remove it, you can click the minus sign, and it says, are you sure you want to delete new description, which I didn't put anything in, but I want to say yes, because I don't want my graduates to advance to that, and that removes it from the screen. So once I have everything arranged in the order I want to advance, I can click Save Changes, so they're all saved. Take a look, though, before you hit Advance, and make sure, here it shows me the dates things were last advanced and who advanced them. Make sure it wasn't just advanced by somebody else last week. I'll go ahead and click Advanced Grades, and it tells me this will move students from the first advancing grade to the one below it. Process will affect all grades not marked Do Not Advance. The last grade in the list will not advance further, so I click OK. School grades have been advanced. Click OK here. Tells me now the last date advanced was 7/9/2019. If I close out of here, we'll go look at Eric's record here. But real quick, let me show you what happens if maybe somebody tries to go in later in the week and advance grades. They're going to get a message when they hit advance. Grades were last advanced on 7/9/2019. So if they missed up here where it said 7/9/2019, which there's a lot to look at on some of these screens, so it could be missed. It says the recommended time between advancing is at least 9 months. Continue anyway. So if I don't know if you noticed on the screen originally it said 2014. So if I really had an advanced grade since 2014, then I might want to continue anyway and advance them all. But I'm going to say no, because we don't want to advance anymore. So there is a nice warning if someone has already done that advance. Let's real quick go in and look at Mr. Bernard and his brother. They were in 9th and 11th, so they should be in 10th and 12th now. So we'll look up Bernard, Eric. So here we see Eric's school grade. It did show him in 9th grade. That advanced him to 10th grade. And then if I click on his brother Stuart, who we saw in 11th grade, it now shows him in 12th grade. So that is another great feature. With just a few clicks, you can edit all those school grades for your children or young adults and have the program advance them to the next level. So as long as you've kept up and things are current, then that's a great feature.